How do you prepare the next generation for jobs that don't even exist yet? Our next guest believes the answer lies in the power of play. Dr. Leah Haynes is the CEO of the Two-Bit Circus Foundation, a nonprofit that is reimagining the classroom by turning trash into treasure and students into inventors. By blending STEAM education with environmental stewardship, she's fostering a new wave of creative problem solvers. Please welcome Dr. Leah Haynes to the show. And Leah, the name Two-Bit Circus sounds like a lot of fun, and I know it is, but there's a serious mission underneath. Can you talk about that?
There's a very serious mission, but the bottom line is, and you did such a great job of explaining who we are and what we do, but the bottom line is, if we want children to be lifelong learners, then we have to stop making the first 12 years of education boring or difficult or both. And so we do a lot of professional development to try to get teachers to move from lecture style to learning by making and learning by doing. And then we build maker spaces. At this point, we've put 560 maker spaces in local schools. And my goal is to have this in every manufacturing center around the world, because we gather manufacturers' clean waste and put it into the hands of students, so they have lots of random material to work with.
So you're giving them permission to get their hands dirty and actually learn hands-on activity. Tell us, I know that you've gone to STEAM, which adds an A to the STEM program that most people are familiar with. Will you explain that?
Yeah, we actually lobbied in Sacramento here in California to have, it was when Tom Torlakson was in office, and we were lobbying him to, I mean, here we are in Los Angeles, in the home of Hollywood, and we don't have arts in our, vernacular. Sometimes the arts are a career, but sometimes they're also the doorway into getting a student interested in other parts of the STEM program. So there's art in engineering, there's art in math, there's art in everything if we keep it there and look for it. And Tom Torlakson, while he was in office, God bless him, he added the A and made it a declaration from the Department of Education in California that it would no longer be STEM, but would be considered STEAM.
Now, as you mentioned, a huge part of your foundation is upcycling. How does this teach kids to see trash differently?
Well, the truth is, I try to make it help the students see everything differently. So yes, what one person thinks of as trash isn't always trash. And to us, this material that would otherwise be in landfill it's material that inspires young entrepreneurs to see themselves as inventors, young students to take agency over their education. And I believe it also kind of sets them up for an environmental stewardship approach to life, because when I go in to do a project with students, I take a red Solo cup, put it in the center of the table, and tell them that all of our trash from today's project has to fit in that Solo cup. And I want them to understand that we value this material because it opens curiosity and there's no instructions. So kids have to become creative and critical thinkers and problem solvers, which is the skill set we need in the future. We are introducing a lot of problems to this generation of current students, and we need them to be problem solvers, to be able to think their way through these things. And as technology advances and systems advance, then hopefully these students will find ways to resolve some of the messes that we're leaving behind and some of the messes that our previous generations have left behind.
And AI is not going to solve any of this. You need to have these makers in these spaces.
We really do. And that's the other, with AI coming so strong, and education is still hair on fire about AI. And my sense is that these kids are going to have far more sophisticated versions of that for the rest of their lives. So it's on us to teach them responsible use of AI and how to have AI working for them so that they don't end up working for AI.
Can you tell
It's
us
really,
some success stories that you've had in the schools?
well, I suppose the biggest success we have, I suppose, is with the feedback we get from educators who will tell us that, I had a hard time getting kids involved in the projects I wanted them to do until we found your warehouse. And now that we have, in the 560 maker spaces that are out there, we get notes and pictures all the time about what has been created in the makerspace and what they're doing. And also Kane of Kane's Arcade. If you haven't seen the little 10-minute documentary called Kane's Arcade, you will never regret the 10 minutes you spend watching it. It's the story of a young man, 9 years old, going to work with his dad all summer in an automotive junkyard in South LA. And Kane was bored, and he built for himself an incredibly impressive arcade out of nothing but cardboard, tape, and a marker. He used his own toys as the rewards. And so Kane, I said, he was 9 when that happened. I met him then, and he hated school. He hated being a student. But we raised $250,000 for his education. And I spent a great deal of time with him angry with me because I wouldn't allow him access to that money until he graduated, at least with a BA. I wanted him to stay and do a master's and a PhD, but that wasn't in the cards for him, at least not at this stage in his life. But an incredible success story. Someone who was considered a slow learner in school. He was socially quiet. He wasn't somebody who stood out or made a lot of noise in class, so he wasn't really noticed. But the other thing that I think is important for us to know about that kind of a success story is that here was a 9-year-old boy out in front on the sidewalk, sweeping up in front of Dad's shop, inviting everybody to come and play his arcade game, and no one did. It took the whole summer he was there, and a producer, a documentary film producer, was a little down on his luck. He showed up and saw what the kid was building. He engaged. He bought a fun pass. He did, and then he asked the dad, "Do you mind if I come back and do a little video about Kane and his arcade?" And the dad said, "Well, the joke around here is that you're his only customer." So all summer, what's wrong with we adults that we would walk by an inspired child who's inviting us to come and see what he's made, and we don't even talk to him or engage with him? That's just something very wrong about us for that.
Yeah, absolutely. How does Two Bit Circus Foundation ensure that students in underserved communities have the same access to these high-tech, high-touch learning experiences?
I'm so glad you're asking that question, because these maker spaces were inspired by a tour I made of the Geffen High School here, where the students there were working on a project with students in Germany and Japan through Google Translates, but they all had the same equipment. They had the identical makerspace that they have at the MIT Fab Lab. And I wanted to sit on the floor and cry, because I knew that the kids we work with are never going to know this stuff exists, let alone have access to it. So I came back and talked to my folks at the warehouse about what I saw and what could we do. And that's where our maker spaces came from. So the Fab Lab is, somewhere between $100,000 and $250,000 to put into your school. Not many schools can do that. We're about $15,000 to put into the school, and the upkeep is minimal because there's new batches of trash coming from the manufacturing centers all the time. We've so far rescued over 900 tons of material from going to landfill and put it into the hands of young inventors. But that's our mission. That's, what we're trying to do is to get students engaged, excited about getting back to school to work on the project they're working on.
If somebody wants more information on the foundation or even the Start Building, how do they get in touch with you?
2bitcircus.org, all spelled out, TWO, not the number. So yeah, 2bitcircus.org. And we would love, because I think every manufacturing center around the world should be doing this. It saves our environment and it offers students reasonably priced material to work with.
And they're going to learn so much more. Dr. Leah Haynes, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it today.
Thank you, Kelly.
And we'll be right back with more Biz TV right after this.